snowfall. It's going to be what we are monitoring for. The time frame for these weather alerts is going to be Wednesday afternoon through Thursday morning. Now, if you do have your First Alert weather app, you can find the exact timings there, just because we do, with the different products on our map, we do have some varying time frames across mid-Michigan, so you'll want to keep that in mind. Let's first start out with our timeline, and this is going to be mainly into the afternoon that we really kind of get this snowfall started. So through the morning, you'll have no issues getting to work and school Wednesday morning. But around 2 o'clock is when we're going to start to see some blue showing up. So up until then, we are going to be looking at some dry weather and cloudy skies. So we'll at least have the clouds setting us up. But once we get into kind of the middle of the afternoon is when we'll have some snow showers that are going to start to move in. But it's going to pick up pretty quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if we even start to see really some of that widespread snowfall around 4 o'clock. And then that is going to continue to intensify. So after 5 o'clock, really towards dinner, 6, 7, 8 o'clock is really when that snow is going to reach kind of its heaviest point and be widespread throughout mid-Michigan. So let's dive into the hour-by-hour forecast, where in the morning you can see here we don't have any blue. So that's why I had mentioned we aren't going to have any issues getting to school or even getting to work. But of course, the dismissal time at school is really going to kind of be borderline depending on what time that school bell rings, because here at lunchtime, we're going to start to see some of that blue creeping in, some of the snow showers, and snowfall rates at this point really aren't that strong. We'll be seeing them about 1/10 of an inch at the onset. But it's once we get around 4 o'clock here, you can see that we have a lot of that widespread snow. So everybody in mid-Michigan at this point working with the snowfall, and it's a little bit heavier in some of these dark blue pockets. So we've really been watching where this line is going to be setting up. So we're seeing that through the Tri-Cities and trying to come in towards the vehicle city around Wausau, Lapeer, and even getting up towards Cairo and Sandusky. So it's really going to be this zone kind of lining up with Saginaw Bay and kind of coming parallel with that, and then south and east that we will be looking at more intense snowfall rates. And those are going to continue even through the dinner hour. So if you have some plans late Wednesday afternoon and then going into the early evening, you'll want to check in to make sure that those plans are still going, because this is really when our roadways are going to quickly start to become snow covered and slippery. And that is going to then slow us down to get around town. Now, at least the coverage does start to break apart a little bit as we get closer to bedtime Wednesday night and even towards midnight. So this is when we will be looking at the chance for the snow to become a little bit more scattered, and thankfully the snowfall rates become a little bit lighter. We'll still, though, keep the snow falling until about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. It really, though, starts to wrap up around 5, 6 a.m. So a lot of it will be wrapping up as we're getting up or just a little bit before the alarm goes off. And then we are still going to find, even after the system, because as it pulls out, the wind direction shifts, and that will be coming out of the northwest, and that will cause us to have some lake effects. So we have, separate from the system, another chance of some snow showers going into Thursday afternoon. So just kind of a separate part, but that snow chance is still going to carry on through your Thursday. Now, I do want to look at some of our snowfall rates that are going to be coming in. You can kind of see a little bit variation in the data here, but mainly the whole idea is that you really kind of see the snowfall rates around 1, 2, 3 o'clock. They're on the low end, so we're not going to have our heaviest of snow, but they do start to pick up around 4 or 5 o'clock. So as we had mentioned, mainly after 5 o'clock is when you really kind of start to see the bulk of that heavy snow come in. So that's going to be around dinner time, kind of when we're seeing 3/4 of an inch. We may even at times get up towards an inch per hour of our snowfall rates. So it's just something to keep in mind here, as we are going to find those conditions that are going to allow for us to be looking at then the chance for us to have then some quick accumulations. But they do start to settle down around 9, 10, 11 o'clock. Now, also coming in right now, we do have an update to our winter weather alerts. Some of the changes that we are finding is going to be into the Tri-Cities. So we have Midland County, Bay County, and Saginaw County. You have now been added in to the winter weather advisory. So we had just talked about this, but we do have this new change. So you are going to find from Midland, Saginaw, and Bay counties that this advisory is going to start at 1 o'clock tomorrow, and that is going to last until 7 a.m. on Thursday morning. So we are going to find that they're kind of scaling back that watch and starting with the advisory. Still need to be cautious, because this means that we are going to be finding some travel impacts. However, we are, instead of going to a warning, we are going to stick, the National Weather Service that is going to stick with that warning, or excuse me, that advisory rather than the warning. So let's talk about some of our snow totals that we are anticipating seeing here. We are going to be looking at our 5 to 9 zone, and this has really kind of been difficult because this is where we have our heaviest band of snow, and we've been seeing that anywhere from Saginaw Bay and then kind of laying across the thumb coming in towards Flint and even further south of mid-Michigan. So we're kind of a little bit into the middle if you're going to be looking at social media, finding other snowfall events. We're kind of using a blend of our data to put this map together. So we are going to be finding that 5 to 9 zone stretching from Oscoda and coming through Whittemore Standish, reaching into Midland and including Mount Pleasant. That's going to carry down through Alma over towards the Tri-Cities, and we will see all of Shiawassee and Genesee County in that 5 to 9 zone. Into the thumb, we're also looking at that purple expanding over. Now, one of the changes that we did make, we had that 4 to 7 zone, and you're going to find that in the southeast corner of Lapeer County. Now, we have still left a little bit of that 4 to 7, but as we have noticed a few more southerly shifts of that heavier snow band, that may need to erase away because we also had portions of southern Sanilac County that was in that 4 to 7. We did expand that away, and we have continued on with that 5 to 9 now here for everyone into the thumb. So we will be watching here pretty closely as we still could be seeing some adjustments that could be needed just because of where that heavy snowfall band is going to set up. Now, if you're in Clare, Gladwin, Houghton Lake, we're also watching this line as well because though we're still sitting at that 4 to 7, if that band starts to kind of return a little bit further north, we may need to shift that purple back again. So we're really trying to kind of have that middle ground of where we are going to be seeing some of our heaviest of snowfall. Still, this could be one of our bigger snows of the season so far. We have had a lot of smaller snows that have been a little more frequently, but we have been seeing that this system is going to be one that we are going to use our snow blowers for. So some of the impacts that you're going to want to watch for is mainly going to be travel. The accumulating snowfall, of course, that's going to have something that we have to clean up, but really slow travel is something that you're going to want to be prepared for. It could slow you down Wednesday evening and into Thursday morning. We'll talk about some of those stoplights here in a little bit, but also we just want to remind you that you might want to have some gas on hand for the snowblower. If you really haven't been using it a lot, you may not have it full and that gas tank to the top for the season. So make sure you are keeping an eye to some of your gas levels because you don't want to have to shovel potentially 4 to 7 inches or even 5 to 9 inches of snow. So mainly the impacts are going to be slow travel and then trying to clean up the snowfall for us. So as we look ahead to road conditions, because of course that's where one of the places where we will see a lot of our impacts, up until about 2 o'clock, we're still going to give you the green light on Wednesday. Our roads should be in pretty good shape. We really won't have a lot of precipitation coming down at that point. But around 2 to 5, that's when our roads become a little bit more snow covered, become a little bit slimy and slippery, and then we start to really see those travel impacts around the dinner hour on Wednesday. So that's when we're going to go from that yellow light to the red light, and that red light is going to carry on through the night when we still have a lot of that snow coming down. And I am still going to even keep that in towards Thursday morning, though we'll have road crews working. We still can find that roadways are going to be slippery on Thursday. So that's going to be a day that you're going to want to give yourself a little bit of extra time. Now, some of our first alert weather day details to watch for is mainly going to be the measurable snowfall and the slower travel. So the time frame that we're really looking at here for the first alert weather day is going to be Wednesday afternoon, starting around 2 o'clock and then lasting through Thursday morning. So though when you check your 7-day forecast and you only see that red there on Wednesday, just know Thursday morning can still be a little bit impactful to your routine. Now, we will have the accumulating snowfall. We had talked about that map, and we do anticipate for us to be seeing some slow travel and again having to clean up the snowfall. So this is very much kind of a routine system. Thankfully, winds, they will be out of the northeast and they'll be a little bit breezy at times. So I am going to be mindful that rural areas, even coming across the thumb and some of our farmland with some of that open space and that breeze, you could have some drifting on some of our secondary roads. So just keep that in mind that once we kind of get that cleaned up, you still may find a little bit of that snow that's trying to blow around. So that's just something to keep in mind, and also with your driveway as well. You don't want that blowing back in on our system. So again, as we kind of wrap this up here, I do want to highlight again that for folks into the Tri-Cities, you have been downgraded to a winter weather advisory, as we are still going to be looking at travel impacts from this system. We do still have the winter storm watch from the National Weather Service here for the Thumb, Lapeer, Genesee County, and also for Gladwin, Aranac, Ogama County and also into Iosco counties for that. So that's going to start Wednesday afternoon and go through Thursday morning. You can find a lot of the information from the National Weather Service on your First Alert weather app. Those push alerts came out yesterday with those details. Another quick run of the hour-by-hour conditions. Wednesday morning, again, no travel impacts to get you out the door. You will not be needing necessarily extra time to get out, but we will find around lunchtime is when the blue is going to start to show up on radar. So keep an eye to those conditions, because once the snow becomes a nice layer on our roadways, that's when it's going to become slippery. So we'll see that on the way home. Of course, if school gets out a little bit earlier, that would be helpful. But if school doesn't get out until maybe 3, 4 o'clock, then you're going to want to be keeping an eye to conditions here. So make sure you're checking in with your schools. We shouldn't have any issue getting to school, but it really is going to depend on what time that school bell rings. We will have some of our heavier snowfall rates as we go towards the dinner time. So you'll see some of these darker blues, and those are going to be showing up here towards the Vehicle City and then coming in towards Lapeer, Sandusky, Caro, and even trying to edge close towards the Tri-City. So we're really watching where this band sets up, but the coverage does start to break apart as we get close towards midnight before making its complete exit into Thursday morning. Another check of our snowfall map here. You're going to see our 5 to 9 zone in that purple color. That's going to extend from Oscoda through Standish, coming into the Tri-Cities. We'll see that including Mount Pleasant, Alma, Owasso, Chesaning, Flint, coming into Lapeer as well. Now, one of the changes that we did make is we made much of Sanilac County into that 5 to 9 zone. We do still have the far southeast corner of Lapeer County that we are going to be watching for that band potentially to just sit a little bit north of there. So that's why we have that 4 to 7 pocket. We do still have some adjustments that may need to be made as we are starting to still collect that afternoon data here. So stay updated on your First Alert weather app, and also, of course, on air. We're going to be back on air at 4 o'clock. We'll have some of the latest information there. Again, your First Alert weather app is going to be a pretty helpful tool to kind of get you the latest updates in between our newscasts. But of course, make sure you're checking in with us on air, online, and on your TV5 First Alert weather app. Thanks for joining us, and have a great afternoon.